This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream. The stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. The morning is still kind of waking up around me. It's a little gray and gloomy out, but I'm sure it'll brighten up. That's what Sundays do. Now, I had the experience recently of being reminded of just how little I know. I can't count how many times I've come across a Turkey Tom documentary or a Sunny V2 video that's talking about some YouTuber or some family blogging channel or something that has 5 million subscribers and has been around for 10 years full of scandal and controversy, and I've never heard of them before. I guess that's just sort of the outgrowth of having a glut of information coming at us every day nonstop, is that it's much easier to miss things as time goes by. And this is an example of that. This is something that's been around for at least 3 years or more, and I'm just finding out about it now. And so I'm going to talk to you about what I found out. I feel like I'm coming late to the game here, and I apologize for that. If there's people in the chat and in the audience in the future that already knew about all this, and I'm just sort of telling you what you already know, well, hey, it's new to me, and there's nothing new under the sun except the history you don't know. But before I get to that, who's joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning? Keeverdam. Thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the links to our friends Moonshock, Natalie, Angela Arriaga, Rhonda, and Blind Press, all of them in their different ways need a little help with their fundraisers. So if you take a look at those when you have the opportunity, if you can donate, please do so. If you can't, that's fine. But if you can, share those out on social media. That would be very much appreciated. So thank you for that. And good morning, Keeverdam. Mike R., good morning. Noah Sencio, good morning. Samnamnyon Nation, good morning. Ryan R., maybe relation to Mike R., not sure, but if they're not, brothers from another mother, good morning. Funtime Bats, good morning. Shadowclaw, good morning. Who else is here? Scrolling. Advocatus Diaboli, good morning. Robert Pincus, good morning. And that's everybody that I see. Oh, sorry. Kiro Soldier, good morning to you. And so far, that's what I see. If I see anybody else, I'll try to give some more hellos as we go. But good morning to you all, to anybody now or in the future, such as Killer Turtis. Good morning. Hope you're all having a good Sunday. So yes, 30 by 30. 30 by 30. I came across this, and my mind went to a couple of things, first and foremost. I thought of 30 Under 30, the series of documentaries from, I think it was ESPN or something about sports stuff. But I also thought, I've heard of that before. Where have I heard the 30 by 30 pledge before? And I remembered something from the World Economic Forum from a few years ago now. The Coalition to Protect 30% of the Planet by 2030 now has 50 countries signed up. Yes, this is some World Economic Forum WEF thing to protect 30% of the planet, whatever that means, by 2030. So we've got 6 years and 50 countries signed up for this pledge. But I thought, well, that's not what I'm looking at, because I'm looking at something completely different. I'm looking at something from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. 30 by 30, ATF's pledge to advance women in law enforcement. And then I started thinking about the 25 by 2025 pledge. Do you guys remember that one? A stream I did several months ago now, maybe it was last year already, from the International Air Transport Association and their 25 by 2025 pledge, where all their constituent airliners and air transport companies were to increase or reach, or exceed, I guess, 25% female representation in hiring. It might have been in executive teams by 2025. And so when I saw this, I was like, wait a second. Is this something that I had heard about before? I don't know. But before I get to that, thank you, Derek LaRue, with a brand new avatar photo looking quite feral, might I say. And that in a good way, Thank you, Derek LaRue, so much, as always, for your continued support and generosity. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning and hope you enjoy the show. And just to let people know, you can now comment specifically on people's super chats with a little comment box there. Just noticed that last week. So if you'd like to say hi or thanks or great directly to Derek LaRue, you can do that just like I did. So thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. So ATF's pledge to advance women in law enforcement. Now, at first, I thought that this pledge came from the ATF, like they initiated it, but that's not the case. No. So what we're going to do, here's what we're going to do. This is the plan. I'm going to read what I came across here first, just as an overview, because it really does just provides an overview of what this 30 by 30 thing is. Then we're going to watch a trio of promotional videos from 3 different police departments in the country that have taken this 30 by 30 pledge. And after that, we'll go directly to the source and read all the details that my brain can stomach on the 30 by 30 pledge. Now, as a preamble, I have not read the details of the 30 by 30 pledge. I know only the barest information. But as a preamble baseline of what I'm thinking this is a 30% quota to be hit by 2030 by police departments and other law enforcement agencies in their workforce split of demographic. And in my mind, again, not a lawyer, so I don't know, but last I knew, if you set a percentile goal in hiring policies in an institution in the United States that operates as a business and or an entity that accepts federal funding, and I think these police departments kind of fall under a little bit of both, you are disallowed from discriminating and hiring on the basis of gender, in addition to race and religion, country of origin, etc. So I don't know how this works. I don't know what the pledge entails, but I'm very curious to find out because I don't know. And knowing is a constant source of disappointment. All right, so a couple more hellos, and then we will get into it. You're Ridiculous Lunatic, good morning. Roasted Opinions, good morning. And Rib Rascal, good morning to you. All right, so let's read the ATF's little announcement. Now, I have to predicate this. This is all quote-unquote old news. This was put out last February 2023 by the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Sorry, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Even though they still call themselves the ATF, they're actually the ATFE, but whatever. 30 by 30, ATF's pledge to advance women in law enforcement. On February 7th, 2023, Director Dettelbach formally signed the 30 by 30 pledge, thereby committing to a nationwide movement to increase the numbers of women working as criminal investigators. Our criminal investigators make up the largest employee group at ATF and will be the focus of ATF's pledge to improve the representation and inclusion of women in its ranks. The 30 by 30 pledge. The 30 by 30 initiative is a coalition of police leaders, researchers, and professional organizations who have joined together to advance the representation and experiences of women in policing agencies across the United States. Our goal is to increase the representation of women in police recruit classes to 30% by 2030. And to ensure police policies and culture intentionally support the success of qualified women officers throughout their careers. Okay, so let's pause a second here. Increase the representation of women in police recruit classes to 30%. All right, that might be, as splitting hairs as it is, the saving legal grace of the entire endeavor. Because if you're just trying to recruit and not necessarily hire, notice how they didn't say hire, but you increase the pool of potential hires. Okay. That might, again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm always looking for the pitfalls here and the outs. That might be the out. Thank you, Kiro Soldier. Just remember, the ATF is gay. Is that a South Park reference? I have some feeling that that's a South Park reference. I don't know, but it's possible. Thank you, Kiro Soldier. Why the pledge is important. Currently, women make up only 12% of sworn officers and 3% of police leadership in the U.S. This underrepresentation of women in policing undermines public safety because research shows that it can rob law enforcement of a different approach to problem solving. Well, you're obviously implying a better approach. Women just inherently have a better approach to problem solving. Women sometimes Listen to all these weasel words. Just let's back up a little bit. The underrepresentation of women in policing undermines public safety because research shows that it can rob law enforcement of a different approach to problem solving. Women sometimes choose to approach situations in a different manner to their male counterparts. They sometimes use less force. Well, I think sexual dimorphism just means that they oftentimes can't use more force, but that's just me talking. They are named in fewer complaints and lawsuits. Is that because people are unwilling to? I don't know. Okay. They are complimented by communities as being more honest and compassionate. They are empathetic to crime victims, especially in sexual assault cases, and make fewer discretionary arrests for nonviolent low-level offenses. Well, golly, why not just hire women 100%? If they're inherently better at everything and so much more compassionate and human than men are in policing, I don't know why you'd hire men at all. Increasing the numbers of women in police forces creates a more balanced, empathetic, and effective law enforcement environment that benefits both the officers themselves and the communities they serve. It is a step towards building stronger relationships, reducing biases, and promoting fairness within the criminal justice system. By classifying one gender as demonstrably better than another? Okay. Achieving gender equity in law enforcement remains a pressing issue as the percentage of women in policing has remained relatively stagnant over the past few decades. Well, obviously, it's because of discrimination and not because of personal choice or anything. But without intentional efforts to improve the recruitment and retention of women, there is little promise of significant change. Intentional efforts. Okay, ATF commitment. Throughout history, the ATF has celebrated the many contributions and achievements women have made to advance the agency's mission. ATF is proud to reaffirm its commitment to make this, ATF is proud to reaffirm its commitment to this, this is ATF's fault. I will read it as it is written. ATF is proud to reaffirm its commitment to this, make the participation of women in law enforcement even better. ATF has joined the 30 by 30 initiative, a nationwide effort to advance women throughout local, state, tribal, and federal law enforcement. By signing this pledge, ATF joined more than 200 police organizations in committing to increase the representation of women in law enforcement to 30% by 2030, and to ensure law enforcement policies and culture intentionally support the success of qualified women throughout their careers. ATF also recently selected its first ever Chief Diversity Officer, workforce innovation, Lisa T. Boykin. She serves as the senior executive incorporating the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. As an integral facet of ATF's work and programs. Boykin has been instrumental in seeking to enhance the recruitment, hiring, retention, and promotion initiatives at ATF, where we believe, quote, everyone is a recruiter, unquote. And then the page goes into some specifics about the ATF in particular. But there you go. That is the little blurbs I had when I first came across this. And so I was very curious. What is the pledge? What does it entail? What is it encouraging police departments to do? And is it really just a sort of out there distance sort of thing? Let's increase the recruitment pool by 30%, because it sure sounds like it's trying to set a hiring goal of 30%, which again, last I knew, setting an explicit percentile quota based on gender or race or any other element out of Title VII or Title VI is at best, I'm being diplomatic here for, hypothetical legal reasons. At best, it's legally questionable, let's say. But either way, let's take a look at some promotional videos from some police departments around the country, just to see what they have to say about it. Let's see. I'm going to change things up to that. And also because I took the time to do so, the only sort of legalese overlay I have, a courtroom. So these are 3 videos from 3 different police departments. We have Henrico County, which I believe is in Virginia, if I'm not, my geography is not off, Fairfax County, which is also in Virginia, and then Seattle Police Department. The Seattle Police Department has just recently adopted this. The other two police departments have adopted this within the last couple of years or so. So we get 3 different promotional videos. Now, as a warning, parts of all these videos, except for maybe the last one, I had to remove long segments of music because all it was just montage of images with music. So I've removed the music, so it's going to be kind of a silent film for the first few seconds in each video. That's just for, risk of copyright's sake. And then, and we'll find out what the police departments have to say about it. It'll probably be very fluffy, but we'll see what they have to say, what their goal is, and so on. And then after that, that's when the deep dive happens. We're going to go to the source of this entire pledge and read through, again, as much as my brain can handle, everything that has to do with the 30 by 30 pledge for female representation in policing. So before I get to there, a couple more hellos of people that I think have popped in since then. Maybe, maybe not. Hello, maybe not. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just you guys and me. That's fine. I was just double checking to make sure I hadn't missed anybody. Hope I didn't. And if you're lurking, again, good morning. All right, so here we go. What is the 30 by 30 pledge from the police departments? Again, this is silent for a second. This is Henrico Police, County of Henrico, Virginia. We get some montage images of some female police officers in action, getting out of cars, aiming guns, interacting with the public. I will, of course, still have to pause occasionally because I don't know if YouTube's going to zap me for something. Here it comes. Here comes the logo. You can tell by that arrow. There's the logo. Henrico. Oh, boy. And what exactly does that mean for Henrico Police?
30 by 30 initiative. It pertains to a law enforcement, trying to ensure that law enforcement is equitable, looking like your community. And so we're
looking like your community. Okay, so the implication being it's aesthetic.
Ensure that law enforcement is equitable, looking like your community. And so what we're trying to do is get 30% of our law enforcement family to be female by the year 2030.
And so this will necessitate hiring decisions based on gender. I mean, I don't see any other way around it. If you're going to set that goal, at some point, you're going to have to filter your hiring decisions on the basis of gender. Are you not? And if you have a specific percentile goal, that is legally questionable. Is it not? And again, I'm being a little facetious here, but I'm honestly curious. I've been asking this question for nigh on 8 years now. How is this not illegal based on established federal law in employment practices? How does this get around the Civil Rights Act of 1964 specifically? Maybe there's a reason, maybe there's a way, maybe it will be explained in the overall of the pledge when we get to it. But constant question in my mind.
And that's a large task, but it's something we're willing and ready to do. And so we are really trying to recruit well to get more females into law enforcement.
Cameron Lisa.
You solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Okay, a little card on the screen for you guys listening at home. It says November 3rd, 2022, 75th Basic Police Academy graduation. Female graduates outnumbered the males. Okay.
Very great start. Something that the division has never done before, have more females than males graduate from a police academy. But again, even those small numbers, to have 4 females in this academy graduate compared to 3 males, just kind of shows the focus we're having in terms of trying to really, really go after this 30 by 30 initiative that we.
I mean, I'm glad they graduated. Conceivably, they hit all the same marks as the male candidates. Why highlight their gender? And I'll probably repeat this as we go. You know what I expect out of a police officer? Professionalism, well-trained, compassionate, and of good moral character. Those 4 things, right? As a broad scope, what I would expect of someone empowered to be a law enforcement officer, those are the things that I'd be concerned about. What about any of those things denotes someone's appearance? None of them. I want qualities of merit. I don't care about aesthetics. And what do aesthetics say about the quality of a candidate? Right? Practically nothing, unless you have someone that is aesthetically so out of shape that they couldn't actually perform the duties that they are empowered with. That'd be the one thing I'd be concerned about. Other than that, why? What does this do? How is this fair?
We are signed on to do. So we're looking forward to it, and hopefully we get even more females involved in law enforcement.
Where do you want to lift it from? From here? Or from here?
So right now we're about 14% of our complement is female, and we're steadily, like I said, we're steadily trying to recruit, doing a lot of different activities in order to try to get more females interested.
Okay, getting people interested in applying and so on. But does that not also at least imply that there are going to be hiring decisions based on gender in order to fill out that goal? I mean, if not enough women apply, or not enough women actually meet the criteria that have been set previously, what do? How do you make sure you increase that number based on the necessary elements of being a police officer? There are some elements of being a police officer that you can't just sort of manifest out of thin air. And so how are you doing it? Are they going to tell us specifically? Probably not.
From the standpoint of being a female, they just bring a different element to the schools and to our kids. And so I think that works across the board.
A different element. Okay.
When you got kids that are dealing with females, whether it be in our power program, whether it be in our schools, whether it be our detectives that are talking about cases with females, it just brings a different element. I think it's more comfortability with some of our citizens, and so that's what I'm really looking forward to is adding those extra bodies to our complement.
So men are inherently a negative presence and have a negative effect on the community. You see, here's the thing: you can't compliment the one without denigrating the other. You can't say there's something inherently good and better about somebody on the basis of their gender without demonizing the other gender. But okay, if you want to diminish the majority of your police force as intimidating, unproductive, barbarians or something, I guess that's your prerogative. Thank you, Officer Buck. Hey, Scribe. Hey, everyone. Hey, Officer Buck. Hope you're having a good Sunday and hope you're enjoying the show insofar as an informational level. I'm not really enjoying the implications of all this, but then what can I say? I'm a cynic.
You think back of many of the female officers that have been for a period of time. Many of them will probably tell you there was not a lot of females when they first began. To see more and more females being involved in this profession, I think really, really helps them in terms of knowing they're heading in the right direction. They made the right decision.
Wait, so female officers need to see other female officers to feel comfortable? Do you understand what you're saying when you're not saying certain things? Like, oh, suddenly there's a lot of more females around. Well, now that's good for me. Because do you want to promote a culture of professional excellence amongst law enforcement just for being a law enforcement? The lowest common denominator here should be, we are in blue together. Start highlighting people on the basis of things that say absolutely nothing about their merit and encourage them to associate based on those elements. Are you really encouraging cohesion amongst the ranks?
And it gives them somebody they can connect with as well within the division. So,
because obviously women can't connect with men and men can't connect with women. Only like shall associate with like in the police department.
I think they're really pleased about the direction we're going in as far as hiring more females.
I mean, I suppose if you're a gynocentrist, then you must be very happy about it. Next card. How achievable is this initiative for Henrico County Police? How realistic is it to increase your workforce by 30% on the basis of gender in the next 6 years?
It's a challenge. You can't sit here and say that's not going to be a challenge because, again, in this profession, it's never been, I guess, a high volume of females in law enforcement. But you're starting to see that change, and I don't think it's a goal that can't be reached.
How are you reaching that goal? I know they probably won't detail it here, but I want to know what policies have they implemented specifically to ease the path or fast track or specifically get women interested. It does come down to individual choice, but at a certain point, you're going to have to make decisions in your hiring in order to achieve this goal based on one metric first, and that is their gender. Skill, talent, professionalism, passion for the work, etc., will all be inherently a secondary consideration.
We just got to work at it. We got to be more focused.
How?
We got to be more detailed. We got to bring those elements that are going to entice people to come into the profession.
Like
and
what?
Show people that they are valued and that they can make a difference in communities. So once we do that,
valued on the basis of their gender. Why isn't it just a get more people interested in law enforcement? Why can't that be the initiative? And then let the rigorous testing, training, and elsewise weed out the best from, those that didn't make the cut. And then you have, presumably, hopefully, the best police force based on ability and merit. You're doing yourselves in by starting off this way. I don't know if you realize that.
That they can make a difference in communities. So once we do that, I think the dynamics of the agency can change. And so again, it's a tall task, but I think we're up to this challenge and we're looking forward to making some progress.
Okay, and that was the end of video number 1. That was Henrico County, Virginia, being very vague about what they were doing and how they were doing it. So there you go. Now we get into video number 2, which, if I remember correctly, is from Fairfax County, Virginia. And I think this one comes from 2021. So again, this pledge has been around for at least 3 or 4 years. Thank you, Killer Turnus. Plausible deniability. In most cases, you need to prove discrimination for anything to be done about it, as long as they don't spell it out bluntly. It's true. It's true. This, as I said with the ATF thing, when they're talking about specifically increasing the recruit classes to 30%, right? Not actually at the point of hire, at the point of employment. They kind of dodge that one, in semantic terms. But at the same time, you're talking about increasing your workforce to this percentage. That's what Henrico County said. That's what ATF said later on in their announcement. So I don't see how you get around eventually having to filter your hiring and appointment decisions on the basis of gender. But even then, it puts an entire question into the agency, whatever agency, whether it's a police department or otherwise, that as people proceed through the ranks, that keeping in mind this goal is not going to influence hiring decisions. It'll be a legitimate question for anybody who does get a promotion or does not get a promotion, gets hired into the police academy or the police department or doesn't. With this initiative in place, publicly stated, you could have a class action suit saying, hey, you guys accepted this sudden spike in women into the police department, whereas years prior, you didn't have that. That means, at least implicitly, you denied me employment on the basis of my gender. This is the poison that DEI puts into every company that decides to adopt it. It's a giant question mark that is a giant legal liability and civil rights question. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Again, this comes from Fairfax County, Virginia. And again, let's be silent for the next couple of seconds because I had to remove a whole bunch of music stuff because I don't know. I'm just twitchy like that when it comes to YouTube and their copyright policies. But 30 by 30, Fairfax County, Virginia. Very slowly coming into it at some point. Okay. Joinfcpd.org.
My name is Zulehma Javed. I am at Franconia Station. I've been on for almost 2 years now.
Uh-huh. Okay, so she's been there. So this, I believe this video was posted in 2021. So she's been there since at least, we'll say 2019, there's-abouts.
I was born in the United States. I grew up in Pakistan. I come from a very big family. I have 2 sisters, 2 brothers. I'm the middle child.
Uh-huh. And?
I moved to the United States in 2005.
Okay.
I came to the United States with very little language skills. I barely spoke any English. I went to high school here, did 2 years of high school. In high school, I wanted to do something different with my life. At the time, I just didn't know what it was.
Well, that's usually what the experience is for most people in high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and look at me now.
And I still remember that I was in my ESL class, which is for second language
Yes.
students.
Mhm.
This teacher would always ask students what their plans were, what they wanted to do after high school, what they wanted to do for their career.
Good. And your answer was?
And she would always skip over me.
She would always skip over you. Oh, okay.
So one day I was like, okay, why does she always skip over me?
Because she's racist.
So I raised my hand. I was like, hey, how come you never asked me what I want to do? And she was like, I know you're going to get married one day, after high school. So I was like, huh, okay.
I know you're going to get married. So she asked all the other kids this question, skipped over you because she knew you'd just get married. That's your default. Okay. Anecdote that probably never happened. I don't know. That sounds a bit bizarre.
So maybe there was some truth to that. I never actually gave it a full thought to like what I want to do with my life.
Oh, so what? She had some prior knowledge of your plans or intentions, maybe? Maybe there was some truth to that? Oh, okay. So am I supposed to think that she was being a jerk, or I don't know now.
That day, I realized I wanted to do something different with my life.
Okay, that day. Oh, big dramatic close-up. Okay. Ooh.
And then, like I said, being new in this country, I was still learning the language, still learning the culture. Had no idea about what the police work is or what it entails of. I remember.
Okay, well, I mean, so far, aside from the weird childhood story and everything, it's like, all right, so you got interested in law enforcement.
Being home one day, and I'm standing in front of my front door, which was closed, and I heard the doorknob get twisted. It was twisting, and it was somebody who was trying to come into my home, which they were not allowed. I could hear somebody talking on the other side, and they were laughing.
Okay. I mean, it's not exactly, your parents getting shot outside of a theater or something to become Batman, but okay.
So I don't know if somebody was joking around or they were really trying to break into my house, but I didn't know who to call, what to do.
You didn't know who to call? Like 911?
So I just remember being scared. So I go in and tell my aunt, like, hey, I think somebody's at the door and they're trying to get in. My auntie, not speaking any English, she doesn't speak any English either. So we just don't know what to do.
How long have you been in the country at this point? You don't know about 911?
Later that night, my uncle comes home and we tell him, hey, I think somebody was trying to break into our house. And he's like, did you call the police? And I'm like, police? Like,
wait.
He's like, yeah, did you call 911? I'm like, no, we have no idea.
Stop. Just stop for a second. Okay. I didn't know what to expect. I was not expecting this. So you were in high school. You were a teenager in America. You have lived in the world for a period of time. You did not know what 911 was. You didn't know what the police were. You didn't speak enough English, yet you knew enough from your teacher asking around as to what you wanted to do with your life that you asked why you weren't being asked that question. You had no idea about 911. You had no idea about calling the police. Nothing like this had ever come up before. No advice, no osmosis knowledge. If you say so, okay.
So he's like, okay, if anything like this ever happens, you dial 911. That's when an officer will come and help you out. And I remember an officer later that night came to our house. It gave me comfort.
Okay, so hours and hours pass after someone was wiggling your front door, and only then did you call the cops. But you didn't know that 911 existed. You didn't know what police were prior to this. But you've been in the country, you were in high school. Okay.
That there was somebody out there who is out there protecting people. And that's when I realized this is something maybe I want to want to do. So in high
Okay.
school, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a police officer. I had no idea how would I go about it. Don't know who I would ask what I need to do.
Okay, well, origin story questions aside, I'm always admiring of people who take the initiative, even if they don't have any idea what they're doing, to at least pursue something and then learn as they go. So, okay.
But I knew I had a goal that I wanted to be a police officer.
Okay.
And then I kept that goal in my mind, and I just went with it. Even after college, I was like, that never changed for me. That goal for me, that never went away.
Okay, so in the absence of a gender-based quota initiative, our officer here took it upon herself through her own interest, curiosity, and passion to take a path towards becoming a police officer. Well, good for her. So why does there need to be a 30 by 30 campaign when you have someone who is, is interested enough in the profession to pursue it themselves? I mean, that's an element of merit I think I had on my list of 4, wasn't it? Someone who's passionate about their work. Okay. Another dramatic close-up, because why not?
So graduated college, applied with Fairfax, got a chance here to work with Fairfax County Police Department. And
okay, so again, you took the initiative to become a police officer of your own accord, of your own interest in the career, and you achieved it because you worked at it. Good. Why do we need a 30 by 30 initiative again?
this has been the best experience for me, and I am so glad that I'm here.
Unless you're a recipient of the 30 by 30 initiative, or a beneficiary, I should say. Are you? Is that what this is? What? Are you guys going to tell us how she's... Wait, is she a result of the 30 by 30 initiative, or was this her own hard work? What?
If you are considering a career in law enforcement, it's a great place to be.
Well, if I am, why do you need to have a 30 by 30 thing?
I would love to see more women in this profession.
Why? What is it inherently beneficial about women?
If that's what you want, this is where your heart is. Again, like, come join our police department and see what we do.
Sure. If that's what's in your heart and you work hard for it and so on, great. Why wouldn't you just want to see more people? What is it about women specifically that makes you all sorts of happy?
It's a great place to be.
Okay.
When I was applying with Fairfax County,
yeah,
that's what I had in mind. I was like, it's a bigger community. The police department itself is a diverse community, and
diverse community.
and that's where I want to be. Being a diverse person, I want to be part of that diversity.
Oh, you're a diverse person. Oh, I see. Okay. Is that how you assess the people in the community on whether they are diverse or not? You're a diverse person. Okay.
I think that's what made me really wanted to work with Fairfax County.
Because of the diversity. Okay.
If really it's deep down you really want this, you've been thinking about joining law enforcement, go for it.
Sure. Go for it. And apparently, because of Fairfax County's proclamation, if you happen to have the correct genitalia, you'll probably have an easier time of it to meet that goal, right?
Do it, and again, see what we do, and I think it will be a great experience for them if they are thinking like they want to join law enforcement. Last year, I was invited to this mosque in Franconia. It's called Al Qayyam, which is also a school, Islamic school for kids. And I had received an email from the principal, and she was like, hey, we would love for you to come and talk to our students, especially the girls upstairs. And then if you could tell them that it's okay for women like us to do something else with our life besides what your family might want you to do.
Okay, now on that element, I think that's perfectly fine. Nothing there. If you come from a culture where women are systematically oppressed and diminished and turned into household slaves without any sort of future or agency of their own as part of the culture. And you want to say, hey, you're in a different country now. Things are different. You can make different choices. Great. That's great. Make choices for yourselves. Good.
So I remember I went in, I didn't prepare a presentation or anything like that. I spoke with these young girls and I was like, hey, if this is, you're thinking about law enforcement, you should definitely really consider it.
Or if you're thinking about anything that you want to do outside of just being a housewife, you should do it. I mean, law enforcement or otherwise, but sure. Okay.
I was like, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they were super shy. Like they, like, oh, okay. But then later, as I spoke more, in the end, they had so many questions about police academy, what were my experiences, and then I had one teacher. She walked up to me and the end of the presentation.
Was she crying?
And she was like, I just want you to know that we're very proud of you.
Oh, yeah. And then all those girls had to return home. And such thoughts of personal agency and freedom were probably quickly opposed, let's say, I'm guessing.
For representing us. We, and that was a proud moment for me.
Uh-huh.
One woman, she had her 2 little daughters with her, and she brought them to me. It's like, I want them to see you. Okay.
This is where you get into some fuzzy lines of things. Being a role model to other people as to potential of things, I got no problem with that. Not at all. Okay. My question is, what is the police department doing specifically to fulfill this quota? And does it fall in line with the law? Or how does it skirt around the law? These inspirational stories of inspiring kids to do this, that, or the other is fine. That's not the question here.
And she pointed to her daughters again. It's like, look at her. She's one of us.
One of us. One of us.
One funny experience where this female walks up to me and she goes, so you're a real police officer? And I'm in full uniform. And I was like, yes, ma'am, I'm a real police officer. But she meant it in no disrespectful way. You know what I mean? She was just like, you are a real police officer. Like, yes, I was like, you see this patch? I'm like, yes, I'm a real police officer.
Uh-huh. Okay. I didn't know this would be like a Hallmark card moment.
So it was a funny experience, but at the same time, it's like, people are proud, like, and I can tell them they're not necessarily from Pakistan. Like, I've met like Arab communities or Indian communities, and people think that like we're similar in language, or our cultures are kind of similar. So it's like they also feel proud.
Wow. So they immediately associate you with themselves based on their similar skin tone. Okay, I guess, sure, that's great.
So that has been a very proud thing for me as well.
Okay, so could a white female officer not have done what you did going into that school? I mean, is that how the community outreach works? Okay. Okay, and that's apparently that's it. Okay, I didn't know what this video was going to have before I played it here, so there you go. Didn't talk about the initiative, didn't talk about what the police department is doing. Just one lady's personal story of not knowing about 911 and then becoming a police officer and then being the liaison to the female non-white demographics in the county, I guess. Okay. And like I say, I got nothing against encouraging kids to take interest in different careers and things. We had career days at schools. We had people's parents come in and talk about their jobs. I remember one guy was a fireman, another guy was an airline pilot, and so on. There you go. Sure. Okay. But what is the police department doing to fulfill that quota? How is she a beneficiary of the 30 by 30 pledge? If she was at all. Didn't say. But okay. Yeah. Women can become police officers. Did you guys know that? I know. All right. Well, this gets into our last video. This is one that is, I believe, the most recent. The Seattle Police Department apparently has taken this pledge just in time for the anniversary of the Summer of Love. More DEI. I apparently didn't remove the music from that one. Sorry. Let me back up a second as I just cut her off.
30 by 30 is a national initiative that's
Yes.
designed to bolster the participation of women in law enforcement
How?
to 30% of sworn capacity by the year 2030.
Okay, sworn capacity. That's hiring. Sworn capacity means you have hired and employed someone into the police department. So you have a 30% hiring quota for women by 2030. Got it.
We ordered a report to really assess the perspectives of women in the department in order to give us that real-time temperature check as a platform for designing recommendations that really meet the needs of our workforce. And
what does that mean? What considerations specifically do you have to take into account for women in the police force, or in this case, the hiring of women?
and for women coming into the department.
Like
I think
what?
it's fantastic. And that's one of the things that we really encourage all of our participating agencies to do.
Of course you think it's fantastic. For those of you listening at home, this is apparently Tanya Miesenholder, Director of Gender Equity for the 30 by 30 initiative. Well, of course she thinks it's fantastic. She's a true believer. It's her initiative, apparently. Director of Gender Equity. Man, that's got to be a big job in an initiative that's completely about gender discrimination.
We have close to 400 at this point. But to really get a pulse check and engage with their employees directly about the things that they're seeing and feeling and experiencing in policing is really important.
Like what? What were the results of this poll, this survey? What did it tell the Seattle Police Department, and how did they then take that information to modify what they were doing?
So I think that says a lot about Seattle's commitment to advancing gender equity and participation in 30 by 30.
Well, when I first came on, there was very few women on the police department.
And this is Lori Agard, North Precinct Captain. Okay.
And women are more valued now. There's more training for them. They are, they have unique talents. And I think those unique talents are put to good use in different departments.
What is a unique talent that is exclusive to a woman versus a man? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a police officer. What specifically can women do that men can't?
And on the street.
You know, for Seattle, you know, sharing that information internally, externally, whatever ultimately, you know, happens with it says a lot about the transparency in the department as well.
What? Okay, well, you've got a promotional video here. What information? And of course, we don't know from this lady because she's not part of the Seattle Police Department. She's just part of the initiative.
Because I would imagine there are some agencies, I know there are some, that will do this type of work and will not be willing to share that information.
So what information? What was learned? What have you done? What are you doing?
Now that you've gathered that temperature check and you've thought about what you've accomplished or not over the past couple of years, where are you going with that information?
Our plan for action is to take the lessons that we've learned both from phase 1 of our reporting on the 30 by 30 initiative.
What was in phase 1? Am I going to have to look this up separately? This is research I had not planned on doing.
Of our reporting on the 30 by 30 initiative, and critically the feedback that we got from the department to better understand what challenges face women in the workplace in terms of the shift schedule, in terms of the opportunities for promotion, understanding that, well, again, women have been making incredible inroads into policing, as in so many other industries.
But
women remain underrepresented.
Underrepresented. Okay. Either someone has earned their place in a place or they haven't. And regardless of their gender, Either they have hit all the marks to get there or they have not. If your focus is on representation, you're not focused on quality first and foremost. You're focused on professionalism first and foremost. You're focused on the aesthetics. You're focused on the numbers. And that, especially when it comes to a law enforcement agency, is a bit worrying. What are you sacrificing in order to achieve this number?
I mentor women right now. I try to encourage them to, take promotional tests, or women in the community to join law enforcement. So my vision would be that there's many more women that join the police department.
Because women inherently don't have the initiative to do these things on their own. They need to be pushed into it by other women. A man could not mentor a woman through the process of being a police officer. A woman could not mentor a man. I mean, okay.
And reflect the community.
But we also need
reflect the community. Stop it. Reflect the community. Again, aesthetics.
The community.
But we also need to recognize that the profession is changing. And if we need to think about what it is to improve the workplace, and for those that are going to continue in the policing profession well past all the, the time when all of us are gone. I think you will have an organization where your employees feel valued and they feel heard and they were actually listened to, and the change was made.
Just because of the gender makeup of your police force. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. That's the 3 little promotional videos from various police agencies. And just thought I'd show that off there for a minute or two. And now we're going to go to the main event, as it were, the actual 30 by 30 initiative itself, and take a look at all of the details we can. So again, I'll do this for as long as my voice and or my brain can handle, because there's a lot to go through, but I am curious to find out what officially is being advised to police agencies in order to increase their female representation. Not necessarily inherently the quality of their workforce, mind you, but just that the aesthetics meet this number. A couple more hellos here while I have the opportunity. Renovatio, good morning. Who else is here? Darren Root, good morning. Urkele Di Stefano, good morning. Little Mo Sislak, good morning. Anybody else that I see offhand here? If I miss anybody, I apologize. Brad Young, good morning. And that's everybody that I see, or that the chat will allow me to see before it starts moving again. So good morning, everybody. So here we go. Oh, Lexi Mads is here. I guess I can restart the show. I haven't done that joke in a while. You can start again. Yeah, I know. I get it. Sorry. I have advanced in my professionalism. I'm not going to do that. And that wasn't an intro to me doing it. And that wasn't also an intro to me doing it, not doing it like a joke or something. Just no. Anyway, let's take a look at the 30 by 30 pledge. Now, just for reference sake, I had to really dig deep to find out who actually initiated this in the first place. This comes from the Policing Project at the NYU School of Law, and NOLLI, not gnarly, mind you, NOLLI, the National Association of Women in Law Enforcement, or law enforcement executives. The text is very tiny there. All right, the 30 by 30 pledge, actions policing agencies can take to advance women. Remember, 30 is 30%, a percentile goal. Introduction. The 30 by 30 pledge is a series of no or low-cost actions policing agencies can take to improve the representation and experiences of women in sworn positions in all ranks. These actions reflect what police leaders, researchers, and industry experts have indicated are critical to, and then we have bullet points. 1, understanding the current state of a department with regards to gender equity. Remember, equity is equality of outcome. 2, understanding factors that may be driving disparities. And remember, disparities do not necessarily indicate inequities. And number 3, developing and implementing strategies and solutions to advance women in policing. Agencies who sign the 30 by 30 pledge have agreed to. So conceivably, all three police departments and the ATF that we've looked at so far, they've all agreed to do whatever's on this list next, okay? Number one, take measures, whatever those are, to increase the representation of women in all ranks of law enforcement. What measures might those be? Don't know yet. Number two, ensure that policies and procedures are free of all bias. So just wait a second. You're instituting a 30% by 2030 pledge, and you want to ensure that policies and procedures are free of all bias when that pledge is specifically in hiring women. Okay. Next, promote equitable hiring, retention, and promotion of women officers. And lastly, ensure their culture is inclusive, respectful, and supportive of women in all ranks and roles of law enforcement. Moving on, diversity and inclusion. There is no universal experience of being a woman in law enforcement. It's almost like there's no universal experience of being a human being, but anyway, each of a woman officer's many identities, race and ethnicity, class, gender, sexual orientation, religion, ability, and more. Let's just think about these things for a second. Race, what does that say about a person's ability? Nothing. Class, what does that say about a person's ability? Nothing. Gender, what does that say about a person's ability? Nothing. Sexual orientation, what does that say about a person's ability? Nothing. Religion, what does that say about a person's ability? Nothing. But ability is a separate category, and that apparently is an identity in and of itself, according to the 30 by 30 project. Okay. Each of a woman officer's many identities defines her experience and often multiplies her exposure to discrimination. Oh, we have intersectionality. Boy, diversity and inclusion plus intersectional theory. What a cavalcade here. Black women and other women of color in particular, yep, I can call it, face compounding experiences of bias and discrimination in law enforcement because of their race or ethnicity, in addition to their gender. Kimberly Crenshaw, are you behind this somewhere? Transgender and gender non-conforming officers, oh boy, face discrimination on the basis of their gender identity and presentation. Other identities, too, shape a woman officer's experience in law enforcement. Well, if you have a transgender officer that's a woman, it's not really a woman, is it? Anyway, other identities, too, shape a woman officer's experience in law enforcement. A mother or caregiver may require a modified schedule for caretaking duties, or a pregnant officer may require certain physical accommodations. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. It is critical that participating agencies focus on increasing the representation of all women. Why? Why not just focus on recruiting and employing qualified officers, full stop? They must account for the diverse experiences of women of all backgrounds and life experiences to better promote the creation of a diverse and inclusive workplace for everyone. No, you're not talking about creating a workplace for everyone. You're talking about somehow accounting for the diverse experiences of women of all backgrounds and life experience. How could you possibly do that? How could you account for everyone's lived experience across the board, one gender or the other? How would that work exactly? I can't wait to find out if they tell us. Pledge actions. Pledge actions are categorized as essential, strongly recommended, and recommended. Okay. Essential. All participating agencies should complete elements deemed essential if possible. These are foundational to understanding the current state of the agency and meeting basic minimum standards. Agencies may choose only to complete essential items because A, data analysis shows there are no gender disparities, or B, the agency lacks the capacity, resources, and/or authority to pursue additional actions. Okay, you're going to eventually list out these essentials, right? Okay, strongly recommended. These elements are helpful to agencies seeking to diagnose why disparities exist, to improve relevant policies, and establish organizational solutions to remove latent bias by imposing a overt bias, I guess. And lastly, recommended. These elements are also relevant. These elements also are relevant to diagnosis, policy improvement, and solutions development, but may require more resources, capacity, or authority to complete. All right, so you have low-level basics, you have the mid-range, and then you have the sort of top level. These are the tough ones, but you can try them if you can. All right. Phase 1. I think this is this what the Seattle Police Department person was talking about in phases? Phase 1. Phase 1, target first 6 months. Baseline data. Collect and report the following. A, the number of sworn officers. B, demographics of sworn officers across rank and assignment at the time of pledge signing. C, number of recruits from the past 12 months, reported at the 6-month and 24-month marks from pledge signing. And D, demographics of recruits from the past 12 months, reported at the 6-month and 24-month marks from signing. Okay, demographics, I think you mean specifically about women, correct? Distribute an anonymous survey to women officers to learn their concerns, priorities, and perspectives on culture, equity, and opportunity within the department. Note, there are several free web-based survey options available for this task, and our team has drafted sample questions to guide survey development. So, not surveying officers in general and asking them questions therein that might pertain to gender disparities or something, but just to women officers. Okay. Immediate action items. Number 1, formally make hiring, retaining, and promoting qualified women a strategic priority for your agency through public statements and internal orders, and include improving gender diversity in your mission statement, strategic plan, and/or other public documentation of agency priorities. Formally make hiring qualified women a strategic priority. Well, as soon as you put women in front of it there, you've already set aside qualified as a secondary consideration, haven't you? And you're also conceivably denying opportunities to men. Number 2, affirm zero tolerance for discriminatory practices. Let's try that again. Number 2, affirm zero tolerance for discriminatory practices or harassment, particularly with regard to demographics such as gender and gender identity, race and ethnicity, and sexual orientation. And this next step is within the framework of a pledge focused on women. And you want to have a zero tolerance policy for discriminatory practices when your number 1 element, formally make hiring, retaining, and promoting qualified women a strategic priority for your agency. And you want to have a zero tolerance policy for discriminatory practices. Do we see a contradiction here? Number 3, ensure there is a designated space for nursing mothers who have returned to work after giving birth to express breast milk as needed. Yeah, that space is called the restroom. This space must be private, the restroom, and sanitary. Well, what's your janitorial staff like? E.g., not the woman's bathroom or a cruiser. So you have to create a room that has been sanitized specifically for this purpose. Oh, okay. Provide dedicated refrigeration space for storing breast milk. Include seating, cleaning supplies, and all other requirements for making the space appropriate and workable, such as working electrical outlets. Okay. Number 4, allow nursing mothers, especially those on patrol, flexibility in their schedules to accommodate expressing breast milk in designated space. And number 5, ensure all equipment for women officers is appropriate and fit to the officer's proportions, e.g. uniforms, firearms, ballistic resistant vests. Okay, that's phase 1. Phase 1 is the breast milk phase and the contradictory declarations phase. Okay. Phase 2. Target 12 months from signing for all essential elements. 24 4 months from signing. What? Okay, this website has been up for quite some time as far as I can tell. Is Chris Saliza running this site? I have to ask. 24 4 months from signing for additional elements. Diagnostic data and demographics. Collect aggregated data as indicated below. For all data collection related to individual demographics, agencies should aim to capture gender, race/ethnicity, and age if possible. Why? Why? Hiring. Essential elements. Number 1, applicants to be sworn officers. Number 2, individuals hired as sworn officers. On the basis of what again? Well, by implication, gender, race, and age. I'm not so much sure about age, but I know that these two have a particular place in certain federal laws, but okay. Strongly recommended. Individuals conducting background investigations and assessments. Okay, and recommended. Applicants at each stage of the assessment process. For those who do not advance, indicate whether they were rejected or voluntarily withdrew. This seems a bit detached from the headline paragraph here, but the implication is there, I guess. I have to apply the question of demographics, gender, race, and age to these hiring elements. Okay. Promotion. Essential. Sworn officers who apply for promotions across rank for both civil service and discretionary promotions, if applicable. I have to apply the racial gender demographics to those decisions. Okay. Number 2, sworn officers who receive promotions across rank for both civil service and discretionary promotions, if applicable. So apply and receive. All right, based on, again, gender, race, or age. Okay. Strongly recommended. Individuals serving on promotional panels. Right, to assess them based on their race, gender, or age. Okay. Recommended. Sworn officers participating in voluntary training, particularly training considered favorably in promotional processes. And secondly, sworn officers who formally seek voluntary training but do not receive it. Again, assessing them first and foremost on their race, their gender, or their age. Retention and culture. Essential. Sworn officers voluntarily separating from the agency, including through retirement. Okay. Strongly recommended. Number of substantiated and unsubstantiated sexual harassment complaints across demographics. Okay. Next, number of substantiated and unsubstantiated complaints for all other types of harassment across demographics. Recommended. Sworn officers who are disciplined and sworn officers who receive commendations. So assessing all of these things on the basis, again, of gender, race, and age. And lastly, recruitment. Strongly recommended. Individuals responding to your recruitment strategies and or attending recruitment events based on gender, race, or age. Okay, well, let's say I have all that information. Then what do I do? Action items. Hiring. Essential. Review your hiring data. If the proportion of women applicants is higher than the proportion of women hired, this may indicate latent bias in the assessment process. It may, or it may indicate something like, oh, I don't know, maybe there's a particular set of physical parameters that have to be fulfilled in order to be a police officer or a firefighter or something like that, that because of sexual dimorphism, many women simply can't achieve because of, nature. But okay, then maybe latent bias, sure. We have 50 women applied and only 4 got hired. Well, obviously, the police department is sexist. Maybe. All right. Ensure assessors and background investigators receive bias training or analogous training at least annually. Yes, every year you must be reminded, hey, if you don't pick somebody for a job based on what they look like, you might be a bad person. That's what bias training is. Strongly recommended. Review your assessment processes and identify areas that require subjective rather than objective assessment. Seek to minimize subjectivity. That's fair enough, I suppose, but what are you talking about specifically? Applying that to what? Next, articulate the knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences required to be an effective police officer in your jurisdiction. Compare these with the content of your assessments. Are your assessments measuring and prioritizing these items? If not, revise accordingly. Sure, that goes across the board. And what if the numbers don't change? Then what do you do? Lastly, review the demographics of your assessors and background investigators. They ideally should reflect the demographics you seek to hire. Adjust if necessary. Let's muse on that one for a second, shall we? So, I'm going to select the assessors and background investigators for employment based on the demographic I want to fill in my workforce. So if the demographic I want to fill in my workforce is women, then I have to select investigators and assessors on the basis of their gender internally for that job. All right. I'll just let that one sit. Recommended. If your assessments have not yet undergone content validation or an analogous process, do so. Content validation. Okay, next, review your application process and identify possible barriers to completion, such as an arbitrary administrative fee. I'll bet it's not arbitrary, but anyway. Remove barriers that are not directly tied to measuring applicant ability to serve as a sworn officer. Oh, okay. Well, then how about we not assess who should, I should say, not employ who should assess or do background investigations on the basis of their gender or race or age? So we can try to make sure that the person doing these things is going to inherently bias themselves towards that demographic. Remove barriers that are not directly tied to measuring applicant ability to serve as a sworn officer. Make sure the people reviewing people's backgrounds look like the people you want to be hired. Okay, next, review the demographic data of applicants at each stage of the hiring assessment process. Are there points in your hiring and assessment process where you are losing a disproportionate number of women applicants? If so, are they necessary, validated, and objective? If not, remove them. So conceivably, encouraging police agencies to change or lower their standards to allow more women if you find a bottleneck for their advancement. Okay, moving on. Promotion. Essential elements. Number 1, review your promotional data. If the proportion of women applicants is higher than the proportion of women promoted, this may indicate latent bias in your promotional processes. Or, as indicated by one of the police officers we just listened to, maybe the women aren't taking the initiative to seek promotion for various reasons. I can't imagine what those might be. Raising a family. Anyway. Number 2, ensuring individuals sitting on promotional panels receive bias training or analogous training at least annually. Yes, if you're not promoting women more often than not, then you're a bad person. Lastly, ensure agency policy requires that all promotional opportunities be posted internally. Now, that sounds perfectly reasonable. No sarcasm there. It should be. It shouldn't be a secret. Strongly recommended. Review your promotion processes and identify areas that require subjective rather than objective assessment. Seek to minimize subjectivity. Sure. Number 2, review officer demographic data across rank and assignment. Are women disproportionately assigned to specific roles or responsibilities? This may indicate latent bias in the assignment process. Note, some of these assignments may be due to self-selection. If your agency uses a bid system, analyze that data separately. Okay. Next, review the demographics of individuals serving on promotional panels. They ideally should be at least as proportionately demographically diverse as the department overall, if not more so. Adjust if necessary. So select people to be on promotional panels based on their demographics, not their experience, not their tenure, not their rank, not their position in the department, on their appearance. Adjust if necessary. Okay. Lastly, in this section, articulate the knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences required for supervisory positions. Compare these with the content of your promotional assessments. Are your assessments measuring and prioritizing these items? If not, revise accordingly. Well, it's abstract enough that I don't have anything to say about it. Next, recommended. If your assessments have not yet undergone content validation or an analogous process, do so. I don't know what that means. I still don't know what that means. 2, review your assignment and deployment processes. Are there opportunities to minimize discretion and subjectivity? If so, revise processes accordingly. Okay. Next, review your department's programs and strategies to support professional development. Do you have a formal mentorship and/or shadowing program to support officers who intend to seek promotions? If not, implement such a program. Sounds fair enough. Lastly, review your training data. If the number of women formally seeking leadership-relevant training is higher than the number of women receiving that training, this may indicate latent bias in the selection process. It might. And next, retention and culture. Essential. Review your voluntary separation data. If the number of women officers voluntarily leaving the department is proportionally greater than men, as compared to the gender breakdown of the department, this could indicate gender-relevant issues in the department. Or it could indicate women going off to have families, prioritizing raising a family and having children over their career. I know it's a crazy idea. I'm sure it never really happens, but you know. Number 2, track completion rates for sexual harassment and other related training and take action necessary to achieve 100% completion rates. If you do not have such a training, implement it. Okay. Strongly recommended. Begin or continue to conduct exit interviews with all officers voluntarily separating from the department, including through retirement. Analyze responses for insights and trends, especially across genders. Okay. Next, review your harassment data. If the proportion of complaints filed by women is proportionally greater than men, which in this day and age, I'd be surprised if it wasn't, as compared to the gender breakdown of the department, or if the proportion of unsubstantiated claims is higher for women than men, this could indicate gender-relevant issues in the department. Note, formal complaints only tell part of the story. Be sure to include relevant questions regarding harassment and the complaint process in your survey and focus groups. Okay. Next, review your reporting processes for sexual and other harassment. Ensure they meet best practices, particularly with regards to enforcement, accountability, and conflicts of interest. Sure. Next, recommended. Conduct focus groups with a representative sample of officers to learn their concerns, priorities, and perspectives on culture, equity, and opportunity within the department. Also consider including civilian employees in your sample to understand their perspective and how it may differ from sworn officers. Next, review the narratives of substantiated and unsubstantiated claims of sexual and other harassment. If the number of complaints is considerably large, reviewing a representative sample of complaints is acceptable. Thanks for the permission. Try to identify themes and trends across demographics. Okay. Lastly, review discipline and commendation data. Are there significant differences across demographic groups, especially gender? If yes, the under or overrepresentation of a demographic group may indicate latent or overt bias in the system. Or it may just be reflective of the demographic split in your department. But hey, let's look for witches wherever we can find them. Next, recruitment. Essential. Number 1, articulate the duties and day-to-day activities of a police officer and what it takes for an officer to be effective in these scenarios. Does your recruitment content accurately represent the totality of these activities and skills? If not, revise accordingly. Fair enough. Next, do individuals in your recruitment content reflect the demographics of the community you serve? If not, revise accordingly. Recruitment content, you're talking about like pamphlets and such? Right, visual representation. Next, strongly recommended. Review data about who is responding to your recruitment strategies and or attending recruitment events. If you are not reaching the communities you seek to hire, engage experts and community leaders about how best to reach desired populations. Revise your strategy accordingly. So similar to our second video where we had the lady who was Pakistani going to either associated or tangential communities based on her ethnicity and religion. Okay. Next, planning. Target. Begin 6 months from pledge signing. Final version, including insights from the above action items and data, due 24 months from pledge signing. So 6 months to 2 years. All right. Strategic plan to advance women in policing. Pardon me a second. Need to wet my proverbial whistle. All right. Based on your review data, analysis of your policies and procedures, and insights from your focus groups and survey, work with command staff to create a plan that captures your efforts to address concerns and implement improvements. Seek and integrate regular input from all ranks. Where possible, tie measurable targets to your action items, e.g., aim for a 50% increase of women responding to revised recruitment strategies within a certain time frame. Okay. Agencies are encouraged to begin developing their strategic plan no later than 6 months from pledge signing and to contribute regularly to strategies and priorities as new insights are gained through the pledge process. Are you an agency leader interested in signing the pledge? The first cohort of 30 by 30 agencies, Class 1, has closed. Class 2 is open. If you are part of a policing agency interested in joining Class 2, please sign up on our Get Involved page. And that brings us to the bottom of the first page of the 30 by 30 pledge. Now, we have other sections here. From the field, what works, get involved. I'm curious as to what works. I want to know some details, what strategies specifically they want to talk about. The social science for advancing women in policing. Okay. Oh boy. Let's keep going. This is a deep dive, as I said. Research and innovation. The 30 by 30 initiative is built on decades of social science research that shows the unique benefits women officers bring to policing agencies. What Works is our ever-growing repository showcasing the social science on which the 30 by 30 initiative is built. Here you will find relevant resources and summaries of the latest research on the experiences of women in policing, as well as concrete, evidence-informed steps that agencies can take to address the barriers that hold women back at every stage of their careers. Boy, women inherently are just all sorts of stumbling blocks in advancing. Okay. Decades of research shows the benefits of increasing women's representation in policing. This is how we make it happen. All right. Frequently asked questions. What works? Oh, okay. Well, what are the frequently asked questions? Download resource. Oh, man, I got to download stuff. And hold on. Let's see what happens when I download. What did I download? A PDF. Okay, hold on. Hold on a second. Okay. Oh, boy, another newsletter, etc. I'm just checking to see if there's anything on here that hasn't already been covered by the other stuff. Why focus on, okay. All right, well, here, let me, I'll save that tab there. And now I will share the, oh, can I? Where is it? There it is. There we go. Okay. Why focus on women? Isn't all diversity important? And sorry for the tiny, tiny text here. I don't know if I can make it any bigger. Let me see. Maybe a little bit. Okay. Research has shown women officers are associated with more positive outcomes for communities. Well, then just fire all the men then. Okay. Women officers use less force and excessive force, are named in fewer complaints and lawsuits. Yeah, we saw this earlier. And are perceived by communities as being more honest and compassionate, see better outcomes for crime victims, especially in sexual. Yeah. Same text as before that the ATF was using. Same text as, yep. Oh, here we go. Through the 30 by 30, though 30 by 30 focuses on increasing the representation of women, we teach participating agencies to use an intersectional lens when analyzing their culture and practices. Intersectionality acknowledges the ways in which people's multiple identities, race and ethnicity, class, gender, sexual orientation, religion, ability, and more, magnify or transform their exposure to discrimination. When agencies identify and address inherent biases in policies or practices that discriminate against diverse candidates, they help to promote the creation of a more inclusive workplace for everyone. Right. Elevate people on the basis of their skin color or otherwise. And everybody, rising tides lift all boats, everybody. Rising tides lift all boats. So let's divvy people up on the basis of what they look like as needing special help. Yeah. Okay. I mean, if that's the way you want to go. All right. Frequently asked questions, download research. That was the frequently asked questions. What works? The research guide. How to create a supportive environment for women. Now I want to hear where's the hiring? Where's hiring? Recruitment and assessment. No. Retention and culture. No. Eliminating barriers to promotion. No. Where's hiring? Recruitment and retention. Yeah. Guide to people. Recruitment and retention. Recruitment and retention. Recruitment and retention for workforce diversity. This is a guidebook published by the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, or COPS, that outlines the current resources of law enforcement agencies about how to promote a diverse workforce through various staffing mechanisms. Oh, okay. I'll take a look at this too. Here we go. Let's see. This is the burden I bear in saying I'll do a deep dive. Right? Don't want to disappoint. All right. So this is the Recruitment and Retention for Workforce Diversity Resource Guidebook 2021. Oh my, from COPS, Citizens on Patrol. The purpose of this guidebook is to provide law enforcement field with information about existing resources. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Contents, behavioral insights, recruitment, hiring, and retention. Okay, that might be it. Decision to become a police. Yeah, diversity. Examination of recruitment and selection practices to promote diversity for Colorado State Troopers. Okay, let's see. The glass ceiling in context. The influence of CEO gender, recruitment practices, and firm internalization. Okay, internationalization. What is all of this? Holy cats. You're going to do all this that quick? Okay. It's just a big bibliography? Oh, it's just a list of, oh my God, really? You're not going to give me these? It's all other things I have to go look at. Oh, for crying out loud. An examination of recruiting and selection practices to promote diversity in Colorado State Troopers. Sure, why not? Oh, and this is something I have to pay for? Figures and tables from this oh my gosh. How effective are blinding concepts and practices to promote equity in the Department of the Air Force? The Colorado State Patrol has recently increased investments to attract, select, and train highly qualified troopers. Well, that should be the end of it, shouldn't it? An important component of these efforts is to increase the demographic composition of CSP to better reflect the communities it serves. Achieving these goals can be challenging because the levels of interest and qualifications required to serve in law enforcement, and especially as a state trooper, may not be equally distributed across the state. Furthermore, speaking of law enforcement, you might or might not hear that siren in the background. They're coming for me. Furthermore, the strategies used to meet these goals must adhere to equal opportunity laws to ensure legal compliance and a fair selection process. Well, here's the thing. I hate to tell you this, but as soon as you start assessing your hiring decisions anywhere, including the basis of race, gender, age, ethnicity, religion, and so on, you are tempting fate in crossing that line. So why even bring it up? Why introduce a measure of doubt into what you're doing and why? Despite these difficulties, CSP's 2019 through 2023 strategic plan emphasizes its continued commitment to these objectives. Despite these difficulties, you mean staying within the boundaries of the law? Oh, okay. For example, one component of the 4 strategic goals reads, quote, building upon recent incremental success, continue recruiting and hiring practices that strive to provide a more diverse pool of eligible candidates, unquote. Well, how do you achieve that diverse pool? What is diversity? What are you basing diversity on? How do you measure diversity? Is it on the basis of anything that is illegal to discriminate on within federal law? By any chance? Do I get to read this thing or do I have to pay for it? This is a bigger, deeper dive than I had imagined, guys. I don't know. Do I want to keep going on this thing? Is this even the thing that I'm looking for? I don't know. Let's find out. Yep, that's it. And apparently, oh my gosh, this goes on forever. Well, I don't want to lie. This is all right. Here we go. This is going to be, let's get into the nitty gritty, shall we? This is what 30 by 30 is recommending as studies that we're supposed to pay attention to. All right. After I go through this, not the entire thing, but as much as I can stand, I think I might end it here for the sake of things. We've already seen plenty of contradictions, seen plenty of hypocrisy, but let's take a look at least one recommended report and research paper from the 30 by 30 initiative on how and why they're doing the right thing. An examination of recruiting and selection practices to promote diversity for Colorado state troopers. Key findings. In 2015, the Colorado State Patrol replaced its in-house written examination with a professionally developed aptitude test. In 2017, CSP removed the physical fitness test as a pass-fail outcome. Now, I don't live in Colorado, if you can believe it, but apparently Colorado State Patrol doesn't care about the physical fitness of its potential officers. Okay, since 2014, there has been an average increase of 10 percentage points in racial ethnic minority applicants and an increase of 17 percentage points in racial ethnic minority appointees. By design? By any chance? Since 2014, there has been an average increase of 3 percentage points in female applicants and female appointees. Barriers to diversity include the composition of the current workforce, the nature of the job, relocation requirements, and the lengthy hiring process. Barriers to diversity. Why does the composition of the current workforce equate to a barrier? The nature of the job. Well, I mean, I suppose the nature of the job could be a barrier to somebody not prepared to be a law enforcement officer. Relocation requirements. Well, yes, if you're not willing to actually police and live in the territory you're policing, I guess that would be a barrier. But why is it a barrier to diversity? And the lengthy hiring process. Why is the lengthy hiring process a barrier to diversity? Don't know. Recommendations include assessing propensity to apply, determining why applicants drop out, adjusting application windows, exploring strategies to shorten background investigations, and providing a realistic job preview. Strategies to shorten background investigations? Why would you want to shorten your background investigation on a potential police officer? Wouldn't you want to make sure you have somebody who's not a complete lunatic joining the police force? Okay, let's see if we can get to those more specifically in this report, because this is a long 26-page report. So I'm going to look for some key terms here to see if I can find some summaries. Okay, overview of CSP trooper position and hiring process. There are many types of state and local law enforcement agencies, such as police departments and sheriff's offices. Although law enforcement agencies share the common goal of enforcing the rule of law, CSP specializes in protecting Colorado's roadways. That is, CSP was created to, quote, promote safety, protect human life, and preserve the highways of this state by the courteous and strict enforcement of the laws and regulations of this state relating to highways and the traffic of such highways, unquote. Table 1.1 presents the basic job duties and eligibility requirements. Okay. CSP recruiting activities. Several types of activities currently support recruiting efforts. These efforts have various goals. Some focus on generating near-term application submissions, while others develop longer-term awareness of CSP as an attractive employer. One major recruiting source is CSP's online presence. The CSP website offers an option for visitors to express interest in joining CSP, which prompts visitors to provide a name and email address. Those providing contact information receive a standardized email with preparatory materials for the written exam and physical fitness. Physical fitness? But that was dropped in 2014 or whatever, right? Okay. And physical fitness and an application to ride along with a trooper. Okay. Eligibility requirements to be a CSP trooper. Must be age 20 years and 6 months to apply and be at least 21 years of age at the start of the next scheduled academy class. Must have a high school diploma or general education development certificate at time of application. Applicants are not required to be U.S. citizens to apply. However, they must have documentation that allows them to live and work in the United States. Applicants must have a current and valid Colorado driver's license at the start of the academy. Applicants must be willing to live within 30 minutes from duty station and must be willing to go to any station throughout the state of Colorado at the time of appointment. Okay. I don't see anything in there about race or gender. All right. Great. Let's see. Where do we get to the part about increasing diversity? Let me find the next instance of the word diversity. Oh, I can't start from down there. Okay, fine. Diversity. Okay. Let's see. The objective of this microgrant. Oh, this was a different thing. Okay. Well, let's hold on. Diversity mitigator removed. Diversity. Okay. Oh, we conclude with a discussion of the potential barriers to diversity. Okay, great. What are the barriers to diversity? All right, possible barriers to diversity in current recruitment and selection practices based on CSP interviews. All right, here we go. We organized our initial findings from interviews with 20 SMEs into 7 broad themes. In Table 2.2, each theme is identified, described, and supplemented with examples of existing research. Some findings may disproportionately affect one or more demographic subgroups, whereas other findings represent broader recruiting and selection challenges. All right, in Table 2.2, recent CSP recruiting and selection trends for sex. Okay, recruiting and selection. Recruiting, male are at 87, female, 87 consistently, female was 10 to 13. Selection, males 91% to 88% over a 4-year period, females 9 to 12% over a 4-year period. Okay, where are the barriers? Primary findings from discussions with SMEs, subject matter experts, if I'm not mistaken. Issue, representation. There is a substantial difference between the demographic composition of the available workforce in Colorado and the demographic composition of CSP troopers. The available workforce in Colorado is approximately 45% white males. As of February 2018, 79% of CSP troopers were white males. Okay. So the population of the state or the workforce is 45%, but CSP is 79%. Wow, it almost shows like men have an outsized interest in becoming law enforcement for some reason. I wonder if there's any sort of like, I don't know, sort of protective instinct, some kind of like stoic or orderly or methodical sort of trends that take place in men over women a lot of times. I don't know. Well-established research, commonly referenced as the attraction, selection, attrition model, suggests that current composition may present challenges to recruiting a more diverse workforce. Right, because when you whittle everybody down to one common denominator and exclude anything else about them, you obviously don't have any diversity at all. All white males are the same, obviously, which is why a white male police officer would never arrest a white male criminal, because white males would never become criminals because white males only want to become police officers. Right? Anyway, may present challenges in recruiting a more diverse workforce, specifically because research shows that 1, individuals are attracted to organizations whose members are similar to themselves in terms of personality, values, interests, and other attributes. Sorry, what was the only 2 attributes you're talking about here? Race and gender. So individuals are racist and sexist by nature, but you talk about values, interests, and other attributes. Well, I guess other attributes could be race and gender. 2, organizations are more likely to select those who possess knowledge, skills, and abilities similar to the ones their existing members possess. Well, I mean, sure. If you set a standard for what is necessary to become a police officer, and then a police captain, and a sergeant, and so on and so forth, I guess you would be looking for people that possess those same skills. What does that have to do with white males? These challenges, what challenges? People are attracted to organizations whose members are similar to themselves in terms of personality, values, and interests. Right, so like someone looking for a place to worship, right? Someone looking for a place to worship. Maybe I need to find a place that shares my values and interests and personality. Sure. And that's a challenge. Birds of a feather. Okay. These challenges, in addition to segregation between social networks and communities, may require precision recruiting to effectively recruit a highly qualified and diverse pool of applicants. Look at all this mealy-mouthed double talk. Your major complaint is there's too many white guys in the CSP. And instead of being honest and saying we need to find people who are neither white and or male, you start talking around the articulated problem with abstracts. How do you solve A with B over here? Come on. Propensity to apply. CSP does not currently have a process with which to estimate the eligible and interested workforce. Well, you have a testing regimen, don't you? That tells you who's eligible. Interested are the people that show up to take the test, right? Okay. Number 1, current reports provided to CSP focus on the available workforce in Colorado. All right. 2, however, the demographic composition of the available workforce in Colorado is a poor metric with which to estimate the eligible and interested workforce. For example, using 50% of the available workforce as the expected number of female applicants clearly overestimates the proportion of women who are both qualified and interested. You're correct. So why are you showing such a conniption fit over 45% of the workforce is white male, and then it's actually a larger percentage of the actual people becoming CSP? A large quantitative review of 71 studies indicates that an applicant's attraction to organizations and jobs is influenced by perceived fit with the job, and such job organization characteristics as pay, benefits, type of work, organizational image, work environment, and location. Sure. Consequently, it is important to establish the type of work that is attractive across different subgroups, e.g. men versus women, prior to finalizing estimates of the eligible and interested workforce. I guess. Propensity to apply continued. Individuals with a propensity or inclination to serve in law enforcement will likely have a very different demographic composition than the general population. Sure. And that's going to be consistent forever. And yet somehow you cited that as a problem above based on race and gender. But okay, because the information to compute the expected number of applicants for each demographic subgroup is not available, if you say so, CSP cannot allocate its resources effectively to address potential barriers to recruiting a highly qualified and diverse set of applicants. Okay, this is all starting to hurt my head. Discussion of example research from scholarly literature. Okay, continuous monitoring of propensity to apply is well established within the U.S. Department of Defense, specifically Joint Advertising, Marketing Research and Studies, or JAMRS, conducts male-based, and that's M-A-I-L, not M-A-L-E, just so you know, male-based propensity surveys using a stratified random sample of youths ages 16 to 24. The sample is weighted on several dimensions: gender, age, race, ethnicity, educational attainment, and region. Almost said religion, to reflect the general population. Positive propensity is measured by responding definitely or probably to the question, how likely is it you will be serving in the military in the next few years? The 4 response options are definitely, probably, probably not, and definitely not. To gain a better understanding of participants' rationale, follow-up questions explore the main reasons to join, if they are interested, as well as reasons not to join. From our review, there has been limited investigation of propensity to apply in law enforcement. So you're basically just describing all the things you have not or cannot do to explain why the percentage of law enforcement officers is of a particular gender or race. When do we get what you're actually implementing to achieve this diversity? Oh my gosh. You know that they're burying a whole bunch of crazy stuff in here that just becomes devil in the details fine print that I just don't have the time or energy to look at right now after everything else. Recommendations: organizing framework, environmental factors, overview of project recommendations. It's all dancing around. Your goal is to make your police department look different. That's it. And look at all this stuff just trying to justify being intentionally racist or sexist in your hiring practices. It's amazing. You've identified the problem. It was pretty easy. There are too many white guys who are CSP officers. How do you solve for that problem? Ultimately, you're going to have to hire people based on them not being either male and or white. And all this 26 pages of this stuff to justify and rationalize to themselves going around employment laws or trying to find loopholes therein. It's honestly amazing to me. But that's just my non-professional layman's assessment of this, as I've encountered so many other things similar in DEI programs over the years. Holy, my brain is tired. My brain is tired. I've been doing this for almost 2 hours now. I don't know that I have a whole lot else in me for this, but I'll make it at least an even 2 hours. So again, this is all publicly available information. If you're curious about it as well, take a look, but let's go back to the 30 by 30 initiative itself. See if I can find anything that isn't a PDF I have to go through. Apparently not. Any other informational stuff on here? Okay. From the field. Is it going to be more PDFs? From the field, lifting up the voices of women leaders. Okay. Officer Spotlight. Officer Jamie Ricco or Lubauer. Luber? Hickenlooper? I don't know. Lehigh University Police Department, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Other testimonials. Policing agency leaders supporting the 30 by 30 initiative. Oh, okay, so we got some, do you have a list of all the police departments? How about that? Partners and funders? No, let's look at all right, so we have Minnesota Metro Transit Police, Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, Baltimore County Police Department, Los Angeles Police Department, Bellevue Police Department. Bellevue? Wait, that's not the, wait. Okay, so scribe lore. Long ago, early on in my channel's career, I did a series of videos relating to the Bellevue School District in Washington State, and a very interesting school-endorsed sexist and racist program they were putting on called the Boom Experience. This isn't... there's a lot of towns that could be named Bellevue. Is this Bellevue, Washington? Oh, it's Bellevue, Nebraska. Oh, okay. All right. For a second there, I was like, wait a second. The world can't be that small, can it? Oh, we have a YouTube testimonial. Oh, sure. Why not? Let's listen to the YouTube testimonial. Will this come through on the tab? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Let's see. Can you guys hear that okay? Let me know. Can you hear that little music bit? I'm going to end on this. We'll listen to this guy's spiel, and then we'll wrap up because I'm my voice is giving out. I think my brain's giving out as well. I hear it, says Derek LaRue. All right. Well, let's see. That's as loud as I can get it. Music. Get to the part where I'm listening to. Okay. Sorry. Let me skip the music part here.
Hello, I'm Ken Clary. I'm the police chief in Bellevue, Nebraska.
Bellevue, Nebraska. Dang it. If it had been Bellevue, Washington, I would have been so entertained.
We're excited to partner with the Policing Project and be among the first to sign the 30 by 30 pledge.
Oh, you're the first. Okay, so this is one of the originals. OG.
Dozens of studies over the last 3 decades have proven it is beneficial to have a diverse police force.
Again, defining diversity on what again?
And one that is representative of the community they serve. Women make up over 50% of society, yet make up only 12 to 13% of law enforcement officers.
You're reading the exact, I swear to God, all these guys were provided with the exact same talking points that I've already gone over from the ATF and this website in particular. This is not your own thinking, is it? This is just what you've been told. This is what you've been told to say. Have you done any independent research on this yourself? Or are you just reading off the talking points from 30 by 30? I think you're doing the latter.
That number has been stagnant since the mid-1980s. Women make great officers for many reasons.
Oh, is it because they're more compassionate, they have fewer complaints, they're more trusted, they use less force,
including being less likely to be involved in use of force incidents? And less likely to be sued for use of force.
Oh, less likely to be sued for use of force. I can't imagine why that might be.
This movement is past due. Okay,
hold on. Are they less likely to use force because A, they don't have a whole lot of force to exert, and or B, they're reluctant to get involved physically with suspects that more likely than not are larger and more physically dangerous than they are? I mean, saying that they're more peaceful, but not saying that they're more peaceful, just that they're less likely to use force. Is that inherently a positive, given the necessities of being a police officer sometimes? Worst case scenarios for a police officer?
We've signed the pledge, and we urge your department to do the same.
I'm sure that you do. Thanks so much, Chief Ken Clary of the Bellevue, Nebraska Police Department. All right. Well, everybody, went over as many details as my brain could fathom. Lots of contradictions, lots of questions, lots of problems. Lots of problems I see. Or potential problems. Let me put it that way. I'll be diplomatic about it. If you're being encouraged to alter your policies, standards, practices, and otherwise in order to let in a specific demographic, not a demographic based on talent or experience or anything else of a meritorious nature, but on an aesthetic nature, and specifically an aesthetic nature that can affect one's ability to do the job, because sexual dimorphism is a thing, just saying. And when you apply this philosophy to something as vital as public safety in law enforcement, I can just see corners being cut and decisions being made, not on the basis of the benefit to the department or to the public, but on the aesthetics, on the window dressing to please a bunch of pearl clutching DEI freakazoids, ESG and so on. And I don't know. I don't know that you want to introduce that question mark into people's minds, the public or otherwise. Did this officer get their job, or was this person denied a job on the basis of what they look like, on the basis of their gender or their race? Do I have a tested and proven professional, trained, competent officer responding to my problem? Or do I have somebody showing up who got the job because they looked the part? You really want to put that level of doubt not only into the public's mind, but into officer to officer's mind when they're out there, sometimes in dangerous situations? I don't know. Just a question that I have. I'll go to you guys for a second or three here before I wrap up, before my voice gives out completely. Gen T Maxi, for every lady cop, 9 guys can cheat on their wives and play cop pimp. What? I don't know what I just read. I'm assuming it's because Canada. That's all. Derek Allure, because they run the other direction, pull the wrong taser, etc. Yeah, boy, oh boy, I tell you what, a lot of lady cops in pretty significant situations over the last few years have not made a good showing. Between, what was her name? I know her last name was Potter, where she drew her gun and she was yelling taser, taser, taser the whole time. Amber Geiger, shooting a guy in his own apartment when she thought it was hers. And several other such incidents. It's just... Oh man, and there's plenty of video. Now there are exceptions, of course. There are, complete opposite. There was a video I watched not too long ago on, I think it was Police Activity on YouTube. I believe it was Police Activity. Anyway, there's a channel on YouTube called Police Activity that has some pretty harrowing body cam videos and surveillance videos of police activity and such. And there was this one where this, I guess, creepy stalker guy was trying to get into a building, and there wasn't a whole lot of context for it at that point. And you had 2 officers show up, a male and a female. And the male officer, whose main body cam you're seeing the footage through, walks up to this guy and says, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" "Oh, I'm just trying to get in touch with somebody." And the male officer's like, "Okay." And he turns his back on this guy just as this guy pulls a gun on the officer and fires. The officer is hit. I forget how badly. I'm pretty sure he survived. But almost instantaneous, immediately thereafter, the bad guy's brought down by, instantaneous quick shot by the female officer. That is some reaction time right there. Holy cats. And at that point, I didn't know, I hadn't noticed at that point, the gender of the other officer. I was just watching the video, just kind of abstract in my mind before stuff started going down. And I was like, wow, that was amazing reaction time. And I saw it was a female officer, and I said, nothing, because it was a police officer who's obviously well-trained. Did I care whether she was female or not? No, she knew what she was doing. But does 30 by 30 want to put a question mark in my mind as to whether or not that lady got her job because she's just female? Yes, apparently. Fostonia, I know Bellevue. It is a suburb of Omaha, about 60,000 population, 75% and white and mostly Hispanic for the rest. The entire town is not really that diverse. It's 6% African American. Well, if the chief of police of Bellevue, Nebraska wants to make sure his police force reflects the community that they serve, well, there's your gender and, your racial quotas right there, right? What percentage of the types of people you have to reflect your community. Yay, race quotas, I suppose. Advocates Diaboli, every benefit they mentioned was us not having to pay out money, unquotes. They do not once mention a benefit to the community, just their budgets, the town, or police. That's true. They're not sued. Use of force charges don't come up, or lawsuits thereof. Yeah, it's true. It's like, it's beneficial. Yeah, hire more women. It'll be cheaper. I guess women are a cheaper workforce for the police department. That's bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. But again, this has been around apparently for at least 3 or 4 years. I'm just now finding out about it because I'm late to the game, as with so many other things. But if you have any other information on it, if you know about it ahead of time, if you have any direct or professional insight into this kind of thing, let me know. I find the whole thing legally and ethically questionable, especially when it comes to public safety. Not that I haven't had the same questions about DEI in regular business and education, but public safety. I mean, it's not that I didn't know that that stuff was happening. I didn't know that there was a nationwide federal agency endorsed gender pledge going on. But hey, you learn something new every day. Either way, everybody, I want to thank you for joining me. Again, let me know in the comments below what you thought about this, if you have any other insights on it and otherwise. Did you know I have a Discord server? I have a Discord server. Would you like to join the Discord server? Well, you can join the Discord server. There's a link in the chat right now. You just have to click on that. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word tells me that you have actually watched the stream, are not a robot, and I feel like I'm going to sneeze here for a second. I think I made my sneeze go away for the moment until it comes back. And you can join the Discord server. Today's secret word is, let's just say unique, or unique benefits. Just say, hello, unique, and I'll know that you watched the stream. Outside of that, you can find me here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence, where I take a look at off-brand TED Talks or sometimes actual TED Talks for education and enlightenment. I'm currently looking to have another guest co-pilot for a TEDx talk in the near future. I'll let you know more about that as it occurs or as things develop. If you'd like to follow my antics and other such things and comments otherwise, you can follow me on X at scribe_light, capital S, capital L, if that matters. I don't know if it does, but it does, maybe. And beyond that, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or the GoFundMe's pinned at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Really do appreciate it. For those of you who are in America and celebrating this Memorial Day, please do take a moment to think about those that have sacrificed their lives for the freedoms that we enjoy and are still having to defend day after day, even in the current year. Beyond that, hope you all have a good rest of your Sunday and weekend. If it's a long weekend, congratulations. If it's not, well, I hope you have an easy day on Monday. And I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.